Hi. Basically, this is a response to Akada's last video. Um, Akada, you apologized. You made like two videos or three videos. You apologized, and I accepted the apology. You know, but then the last video you put out, I was confused because you started to contradict yourself. Um, Basically, you want people to sympathize for you, and I'm not. The only people that's gonna sympathize with you is people who don't like black people. That's it. Okay, because what you're doing is wrong, and everybody else is looking at you like you're crazy. Although they agree with you, they know you're African American. You fall under our category. You do mention that and you do understand that, but when you speak, you don't identify yourself with that because you say black people, African Americans. You didn't say we. When you speak, you don't say we. You don't say us. You don't our. You don't say that. You say they, them, black people, African American. That's what you say. Or I'm Ethiopian. I'm African. I'm not we. Or so you don't categorize yourself in the black community, at least not up here. What you're saying is something else, but what you're thinking up there is totally different. Um, what I would like to say to you is like, I hope you do this, and and I just hope you do this. Number one, I sense that you're not familiar with African American history. Like I think you know the textbook, the ones that get you out of college and school or whatever. But I don't think you went on your own and did extra research. I don't think you read biographies or met people who actually experienced those things. Okay? There's people living today who are the parents of the people that you're talking about, that have lived through that, who are the parents of the people and the parents of the people that's living today. And it's like you're ignoring that, and you can't because we've been damaged. I mean, my mother went through having, bombs thrown into her house and dogs attacking her and hosed down and all type of horrible things that's been done to her based on her skin complexion. My grandmother really felt it, because she was like in the middle of it. My mother was a little girl and things she does remember, and she tells me about it, and I feel because it's one thing when you read it, it's another thing when you hear a story about it, but it's totally different when it's your mother or your grandmother and you hear it. You get another feeling about it. I want you to look up the Hart-Seller's Law. Please understand that you as an Ethiopian weren't even allowed in this country. In 1942, I believe, I could be mistaken, I could be wrong, but I believe in the 1940s, the Hart-Celler Law was passed, and that allowed immigrants to come into America. It was illegal for anyone outside of America to come here at one point. So I really want you to understand that. And technically, the Hart-Celler Law wasn't really for just anyone to come. They really wanted the Europeans to come to America. That's why the law was put in place. But what was the surprise? A lot of Caribbean and a lot of Africans started to migrate over to America. Basically, it's hurtful. You also stated that the reason why you're upset is because people outside of America, all over the world, perceive African Americans, or not African Americans, perceive all black people all over the world as the African Americans that they see on TV. Now I can understand, why you'd be upset. I would be upset like that too. But quite frankly, you don't believe that. Because here in America, we already had certain perspectives of what Africans were. Okay? Now, me personally, I don't believe that because I lived in Nigeria for years. So I already know what it's like, and I know what I'm about to say is absolutely not true. So I don't want to see comments about, oh, you're ignorant. Blah, blah, blah. This is what Americans or white people or people that's not black or African American, these are what people think. Even some, matter of fact, I'm lying because I remember when I went to Africa and I stayed there for years, and then I came back to America. I had an accent. I was speaking Hausa. I was speaking another language. I was dressed in a different way because I really loved Africa. I adapted to it. I felt home. I loved it. And I remember being teased. I remember people saying, "Ew, you're African. Ew." Or "You're African booty scratcher." Or "Ew, you stink. Oh, you don't use deodorant anymore." I remember people saying things like that to me. Because first of all, I just lived in Africa for a few years. I wasn't born there. I just stayed there for a few years and then came back. Okay, and this is what I got from the people that I already knew. Like, I already went to school with these people for the first couple of years of my childhood, and then came back to complete, junior high school and so forth and so forth. And most of these people already knew, and they knew who I was, but yet, because I stepped foot in Africa, this is what I got. And the questions that they would ask me was crazy. They were asking me if I was running around naked. Did they have shoes over there? Did they have radios or TVs? Like, those are the common questions people were asking me when I told them I lived in Africa. So if that's what people were asking me and I just lived there for a few years, what do you think people were saying about people like you who parents and generation was from Africa and, you're from Africa? What do you think people are saying about you? Well, I'm going to tell you. Number one, Americans have this perception that Africans run around butt naked with bones in their nose, living in huts. Another thing that they perceive is that Africans brought AIDS over to America. Okay? Another thing, a stereotype that's against Africans, you guys don't use deodorant. I mean, things like that. Just as ignorant as it sounds, those are the similar things that were coming out of your mouth towards African American women. Especially the one about African American women not being wanted by any other race. Are you kidding me? I had plenty of Asian men try to talk to me. I even dated a Cambodian. I dated a Chinese and a Korean before. I mean, and it didn't work out because as a person, it wasn't working. Not of his culture. Because technically, if you're American, first of all, I don't even understand how the conversation got between Asians and blacks. Because most of the time, no one really dates a traditional Chinese person or Asian person. If you come from Asia and you're usually dating them, usually they're from here, they were born here, their parents are Chinese or so forth, or Asian or Cambodian, whatever type of Arab, whatever type of Asian they are. If they're the second generation, first generation, whatever it is, they are Americanized. So we do have a lot in common. Okay? Especially as certain black people, because there are certain black people that try to go back to their roots, like my mother. And for you to sit up there and say something, it's like you're pushing us away. Like, if I had children, first of all, I don't have any children. Number one, never been pregnant. But if I had children and my children saw that, do you know how offended they would have been? Yeah, you apologize for it. I accept your apologies 100%. But you still believe what you said. And you know what? All I do is pray. I'm not going to pray for you in terms of your mentality, because that's something you have to learn. Okay? You have to learn. No one can't change you. I don't even think you could be taught because you already know. This is something that you have to believe, and this is something that you have to learn on your own. And that's that. Honestly, I think there's something in your childhood or something that has happened to you in the past that's triggered this behavior. I think a friend of yours might have said something that was inappropriate about race, and what you did was alter it and made sure that you were nothing like your friends were describing. And so now you feel like you don't identify with the African American community because you made sure you didn't behave like the way your friends or people were discussing, because I know there's certain things as an African that you do that is very much African American. So you can't tell me no. There's just something about colored people that we have that people of not color don't have. I don't know how to explain it, but I I don't know. But if you kind of get what if you kind of get what I'm saying, people out there, maybe you can put it in the comments and explain it a little bit better for me, because right now I'm just lost. But I do hope that you're safe. I hope no one physically touches you, because, and I'm worried about that, because this is something that's not going to go away. You have to believe this may end up on somebody's talk show like Tyra Banks or Oprah. This is a serious issue. This is on a lot of websites. So I'm sure you're going to get phone calls and emails and messages about people wanting you to come in and speak about it. So maybe we'll be seeing you on Tyra Banks or something, because right now this is a real big issue. So, Akata, I wish you well, and I hope that you're safe. And I hope you respond to this video, because I would love to hear your comments towards my video. But anyway, take care, and you guys please feel free to comment. Mwah.